Viewers, in the past 2 days, US President Donald Trump has opened a tirade against India. It could be because Bharat has rejected his lies on ceasefire. It could be because India refuses to budge on trade negotiations. It could be because India has no interest in nominating him for the Peace Prize like Pakistan has perhaps. Only Trump would know what has made him so bitter. But his insinuation, or rather a direct attack on us, saying that the Indian economy is dead, is rather a sign of his desperation or possibly an attempt to bully Bharat. The Modi government has clearly said that it will prioritize the welfare of farmers, MSMEs and entrepreneurs and won't take any decision in haste that could negatively impact our national interest. But what has Rahul Gandhi done? He appears to have lapped up on yet another claim by Donald Trump. The leader of opposition says that there's nothing wrong in what the US president said. In fact, Rahul feels the entire country can see that the economy is dead except the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister. Listen in.
He's right. I mean, everybody knows this except the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister. Everybody knows that the Indian economy is a dead economy. I'm glad that President Trump has stated a fact.
The Ministry of Commerce and Industry is engaged with all stakeholders, including exporters and industry, for taking feedback of their assessment of the situation. The government attaches the utmost importance to protecting and promoting the welfare of our farmers, workers, entrepreneurs, exporters, MSMEs, and all sections of industry. We will take all necessary steps to secure and advance our national interests.
But is this really the case? Is the Indian economy really in tatters, let alone dead? Let's take you through some of the facts and figures that will give you a reality check, not just to Rahul Gandhi, but also to the US president. The first fact is that it is the world's fastest growing major economy. The growth forecast is at 6.4% currently. Secondly, the GDP growth is higher than US and China. 6.4% for India, 1.9% for US, 4.8% for China. Fact number 3, India is the 4th largest economy and it is on course to become the 3rd largest economy by 2027. The fourth fact, that extreme poverty has actually come down to 5.3% of the Indian population, and this is what the government has cited repeatedly. It was 27.1% in 2011-12 to 5.3% in 2022-23. Fact number 5, inflation at a 6-year low of 2.1%. There's also the fact that it's a $1 trillion digital economy that is projected by the government for the year 2030. All of this certainly signs that it's nowhere close to being a dead economy. These are, of course, the facts and they can't be denied. Trump and Rahul can go on claiming that our economy's health is an ICU, but they can't change the truth. However, this is not to say that the Indian economy doesn't have its fair share of problems and challenges. Let's take a look at some of them. Unemployment at 5.6% in May 2025. Industrial growth at 1.5% in June 2025 as well. It's slow to a 10-month low. The per capita income, yet another challenge when it comes to income inequality. It's $2,697 compared to China's $13,303. However, none of this would prove that the Indian economy is quote-unquote dead. Now, while Donald Trump may be the US president and Rahul Gandhi the leader of opposition, neither of them are economists. Let's look at their criticism of the Indian economy because it's bound to have a political color. It would be foolish to take them for their face value. What do the real experts have to say about what's likely to happen to India? Is our economy a hit or a miss? And can India survive Trump's 25% plus penalty bombshell? Let's take a look at some of the big agencies and what they have to say. Modi says that India is a more domestically oriented economy and therefore such external factors may not have an impact. HSBC and Barclays have cited the drop in GDP could be 0.3 points, in fact, if this does come into play. NCAER and ICRIER have said that the drop in GDP could be, or GDP growth, I beg your pardon, could be 0.2 to 0.5 points. HSBC says that there's reduced capital inflows and investments that we could be potentially looking at. Let me take this across then to Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, former Finance Secretary of India. Thank you so much, Mr. Garg, for joining us. Your reaction first and foremost to what's being stated by Mr. Rahul Gandhi and, of course, President Trump. They both dubbed the Indian economy dead. Your reaction to these comments, sir?
This expression using dead itself shows a kind of bankruptcy of mind. An economy cannot be a dead one. The economy is working. It can grow slowly. It can grow fast. It can be a big economy. It can be a smaller economy. But it can't be a dead economy. So I think this expression is completely out of place. Why did Trump use it? Probably, but in my understanding, this shows his frustration of not having got a deal from India, what he has been able to get from others. And out of this desperation, this frustration, he used this expression that let Russia and India do what they do. I don't care. And for me, both these economies are dead. That kind of expression can come only from a person who is feeling heavily frustrated. Lastly, to my mind, our domestic leaders taking it either way, that somebody in the ruling party camp trying to say that we are doing very, very well. I think we are at a point where we are slowing down from 9.3% last year to 6.5% last year, and on way to about 6 to 6.5%. We need to grow at a much higher pace, but we are growing slowly now. But for the leader of opposition to say and to catch on this, to say that it's a dead economy, I think it's a very sign of a very bad judgment.
But Mr. Garg, many would say that is that largely because of our domestic policy-related issues, or is it also the larger international environment? We're looking at a situation where there have been at least two major wars, and India itself, of course, was engaged in a four-day war that we saw earlier. All of that has also impacted on the global environment.
See, there are numerous factors which work. There can't be one factor kind of thing which makes all the difference. So India's exports are slowing down of the goods, but we are doing relatively well in services. If the American market is affected even to the extent of, let us say, 10 to 12%, then that would have definitely some impact. You highlighted this, various kind of agencies saying that between 2.2 to 0.3 or 4%, that impact will definitely be adverse, because there is no way we will be able to have the export surplus of about $45 billion, which we had with the Americans last year. We have deficits in many other parts of the world, China, others included. And now if the US also gets into a smaller surplus or deficit, it's, in my judgment, it's unlikely to get into the deficit. It'll still be a surplus. But so that would have some impact. But there are enormous domestic challenges as well. You highlighted there are industrial growth is slowing down. Inflation, by the way, whenever the inflation is at such low levels, that indicates that the economy is slowing down.
Yes.
You have seen about what is happening on the credit growth front. You've seen what is happening about the investment in the domestic economy. So there are some serious signs which we need to address.
Absolutely. There are problems. There are many problems, sir. But in my limited understanding, and you can please come in on this, what the government stated position, especially when it comes to US and tariffs, is that they're essentially trying to protect the agriculture sector, the dairy sector, which forms a substantial chunk of the Indian population's primary, source of income and activity. In that sense, this is exactly what we've seen even the UPA regime do when it came to WTO and other international agreements. So there is a policy continuity there, or do you see some kind of departure? Because the government says we are not succumbing to the US pressure, and that appears to be what even past regimes have done.
That's fair point. In fact, the India's no-goes or red lines or holy cows, whichever way you want to put it, the agriculture, non-GM kind of thing. So all of these have been continuing for last many decades. It's not a new kind of argument which the BJP government has invented to sort of scuttle this. I think the government was making very sincere effort. It wanted to go as much as possible. It had taken even many unilateral steps. The equivalence levy was taken out. We had started buying lots of energy imports from America. We were also doing defense deals. So government was actually trying to accommodate as much as it can. It could have accommodated the United States. But if their ask is too much, which is impossible to do, any government cannot sort of literally surrender and concede all of these things.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that government stance has been wrong. It has been fairly right. My only sort of regret is that the government has taken too much of time to sort of read Mr. Trump's mind.
Right.
We have lost 4 months. We should have taken the stand much more clearly even 2 or 3 months back.
Perhaps they should have done it publicly. The government says that it's being all done privately. That's a matter certainly for the government to explain. But one thing is very certain. Trump's own credibility, his own friends and allies who are in his corner are rapidly diminishing. And if he continues at this rate, even if this is a bargaining tactic, we really don't know what he will end up doing, not just to the relations between US and India, but also to the larger world order. Thank you so much, Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, for joining us and sharing with us your views on the Newshour Agenda this evening.